Ladies and gentlemen, this is one of the most craziest episodes ever. This is an 100% audio experience. I mean, if you want to, you can watch the video, but basically you will see me sitting in my car going all the way from Munich to Hamburg. The OMR conference is starting tomorrow, and I have an 8 hours drive. And the only way to give you a podcast episode is to record it on the way. Because unfortunately, I won't be able to have only 30 minutes to record it anywhere else. Nevertheless, this is totally fine. What I prepared is the intro on the wine country of England, because I will use the month of May to have something I call the English Wine Weeks. Why is that? From May 20th to May 22nd, I will be in London at the London Wine Fair as a media representative for this podcast. I will interview some people. Beforehand, I will be able to interview some people from the industry as well: winemakers, wine traders, wine merchants, people working in the wine industry. Maybe there will be a master of wine. We will see. And in the end, I hope I can give you, over the next couple of weeks, a brief overview over the British market, the English market, because it's an amazing wine country. It's an emerging market. There is amazing products, great products, tasty products. I mean, this is subjective, but believe me, trust me, you have to try that. And I will give at least 2 possibilities this year to taste English wine with some amazing winemakers probably. And in November, there will be a wine trip for people who are really interested in the English wine country. More to be announced very soon. And right now, have fun with the episode. Welcome to the Pinot Pixel podcast episode number 155. Out of the car, on the way from Munich to Hamburg. And I want to talk about England today. England is one of the most amazing wine countries I have discovered in the last couple of years. Great products, great people. I've been there 3 times in a row, and it will be there the 4th time this year. And I guess this will continue the next couple of years. It's so exciting to see this country grow, to see this wine regions grow, to see people emerge, and there's so many awesome people over there. I love to chat with some I even can call friends right now, and I'm really looking forward to London Wine Fair. And I thought it might be a great idea to give you kind of an overview over England, over the English wine movement, as they call it, and talk about where is England coming from. I guess some people that might be listening to that are currently thinking, he's talking about England and wine. What the heck is he talking about? Is there really wine in England? Yes, there is. There has been wine in England for over 2,000 years. The first documented vines were planted 43 BC, so over 2,000 years ago. I mean, of course, this is not the wine history of England. England basically was one of the trade centers of Europe, if not of the world. And it is also responsible for the rise of so many great wine countries, wine regions, and wineries as well. And probably the most famous one is Haut-Brion. Haut-Brion was the first winery from Bordeaux that was sold outside of France and in England, in London. And there is so many other super interesting stories about England, about English wine, and the connection between England and the wine industry. And I want to give you a brief overview on England itself. England, most of you might know this, had to leave the European Union. And due to this fact, of course, were confronted with many problems as well, because, there is new rules entering the country or even leaving the country, either in private or under business circumstances. You have to deal with duty fees, you have to deal with visas, you have to deal with so many other fees, with higher shipping costs, and all this reflects in not only the wine industry, but in almost every industry in England. And there is only one good thing I have discovered so far that is good for England because they had to leave the European Union. They don't have to work under the European wine law. And one of the things that the European wine law restricts is the growth in vineyard surface. So the area under vines, England is not under this 1% rule. They can just grow. And what they basically do is they grow each year between 5 and 20%. And I think England will be a wine country in 10 to 15 years with approximately 15 to 20,000 hectares if the growth keeps going. Quite interesting. And it's also interesting to have a look at the varieties they have. I mean, basically 75% of England is sparkling wine. So they are mainly focused on the varieties that really know how to produce great sparkling wines. It's Chardonnay, it's Pinot Noir, and it's Meunier, of course. Nevertheless, there's some other great varieties that have also potential not only for sparkling, like Seyval Blanc, for example, but also for still wines. And I had a few chats in the last couple of months and years with people working in the English wine industry. And some people from WineGB told me they are interested in making Bacchus their Sauvignon Blanc of England. Because, I mean, Sauvignon Blanc is the variety for New Zealand, and huge story, amazing marketing, amazing success story in general. And they want to make Bacchus their Sauvignon Blanc, their success story in winemaking. And they try to, let's say, create their own style of Bacchus. And I mean, the people who know Bacchus, my mom is a huge Bacchus fan. Bacchus is an amazing variety. It's super aromatic. It brings the acidity. It's quite fresh, it's quite light. You can make so much stuff with Bacchus. You can make still wine, you can make sparkling wine, you can make even traditional method with it. You can make great pet nut out of it. I just did this last year with a very good friend. You can have, let's say, yeah, you can, I mean, you could put it in steel, but I guess nobody does that. In oak, but nobody does that. You can put it on the skins. You can have skin maceration for a couple of days. There is some great wines made like this in England. I can remember the one from the Renegade Urban Winery. This is a wine I will remember, I guess, the next 10 years. It had this smell of a bunch of flowers that rested, I don't know, for 5 to 10 days on the table, and it still smells flowery. It's not stinky. It's like ripe flowers. It's a bit awkward, but it's usually 2 days before you throw it in the bin. But this great smell, even like dried flowers, I really love the smell. And then it was so well structured. It has the acidity, it had some tannins, and this super aromatic aroma profile and the flavors on the palate was just amazing. And not only this product, but in general, Bacchus, great variety. There are some people that are also convinced of Seyval Blanc. I like Seyval Blanc, actually. For me, it's a good base for a great sparkling wine. And there's a Dalwood winery, Dalwood Vineyards. They produce a sparkling wine from Seyval Blanc. Great product. I really loved it. And I guess I bought some bottles. I have 2 left in my cellar, I guess. But there might be some people, especially working in the industry, Fergus Elias, for example. They also have a great podcast, by the way. This is unpaid advertisement, but listen to this podcast, The Maker and the Merchant. 2 great people, Lee Isaacs, Fergus Elias. Super funny, super interesting, sometimes a bit nerdy, but this is what I love about that podcast. And it's just like you listen to 2 friends talking to each other about wine, getting a bit nerdy, super funny. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to every single episode they publish. And so I can really recommend it. The only thing that it's not so super cool is that Ferg is not a fan of Seyval Blanc, but I mean, it's totally fine. He loves Cabernet Franc, and then this is fine for me. Let's put it like this. By the way, talking about Cabernet Franc, there's some great examples from Wales. I will discover that this year. This is really on my map this year, to get a feeling for Welsh wine. And mainly the Maker and the Merchant podcast is responsible for that, because they had a great episode on Welsh wine where Lee was talking about a tasting he had, and I did some research on the wineries over there. And probably the wine trip in November I'm currently organizing is heading toward Wales and the Middle East of England. I definitely would love to visit Black Chalk Winery and Offbeat Winery. We will see if this could work out. It's definitely a great area to discover. Last year we were more focused on the southern part. Before we start again diving deeper into the wine regions of England, I highly recommend episode number 97. It's in German, but it was a good overview over the English wine industry, the English wine market, the varieties, the regions, and I don't want to repeat myself just because it's in English, but I would add some facts to give you a feeling for the English wine market. Imagine England as a country. I guess you've seen it on the map every now and then. I mean, there's wines in Scotland, there's wines in Wales, there's wines in Ireland and Northern Ireland as well, but this is very, very early. I mean, there is some great stuff going on. That's still early. They haven't found their style or something like this. You should definitely try whatever you can get in touch with. Nevertheless, we will talk about England today. And imagine the map of England, and then you draw a horizontal line through London. North of this line, there is some wineries, there is some areas. It's quite cold over there. And sometimes they struggle in totally ripening all their grapes. There's one or two regions very close to the channel that are quite warm, but in general, it's still a cool climate over there. And when we talk about super high quality sparkling wine and still wine, I would say the majority can be found south of this line you just drew. When you have a look at this area and you separate it into a left part and a right part, it's not a bank because there's no river. But the right part will be Sussex, Surrey, Kent. So the regions that have become very popular in the last years. I would say the biggest responsibility for that lies at Night Timber. In 1993, they won a blind tasting against champagne and other great sparkling wines and proved to the world that you should definitely have an eye on English sparkling wine. And since then, the regions in this right area south of London really rose. And today, when people talk about English sparkling internationally, yeah, they usually talk about this area. Nevertheless, on the left part of this area, there is amazing producers. And last year, our trip was mostly focused on this area. We were at Sandridge, Barton, we were at Langham Winery, we were at the Warrior Experience, Guillaume Laguerre. He's doing fantastic stuff, mostly ciders, great ciders, by the way. And still wines, Langham, to me, is one of the best sparkling producers in England at the moment. Not only taste-wise, I mean, I love the products, but also quality-wise. Their head winemaker, Tommy Grimshaw, amazing guy. When you go a bit more western, you hit up to Sandridge Barton, the wines from Sharpen Vineyards, great stuff. Charlie, Tom, Duncan doing an amazing job over there. Definitely try that one if you have the possibility to. And then if you go even more western, you end up in Cornwall, and most people might know Cornwall not from wine, but from probably movies like, I don't know, Robin Hood or Sean Connery walking through the ancient England in the 15th century. I don't know. This is what I have in my mind when thinking about Cornwall. Nevertheless, great wines over there. There's Camel Valley, for example. Definitely worth a try. And what I wanted to say is, if you ever have the possibility to go there, you should try whatever you can. Mostly it's traditional method sparkling wine. 93% of the sparkling wines in England currently are made with a traditional method. There's some producing tank method, and there will be an interview with one company in this English Wine Weeks series in the next couple of weeks. Overall production in England, 75% is sparkling wine, 25% is still wine. There is amazing still wines in England. There is great Bacchus, great Seyval, great Ortega, for example, and just to name a few, Westwall Winery, great Ortega on the skins. I really love the Pinot that Sarah is making at Lime Bay Winery. Guillaume's Chardonnay is amazing. I was part of the production of his Orion, and so if you want to try crazy varieties you probably have never heard of, England is your place to go. I mean, when have you drunk Ortega, Seyval Blanc, Reichensteiner, or Orion for the last time? Super interesting area. And during the 1960s, when they were, let's say, rediscovering viticulture for their country, for themselves, they start importing basically the vines from Germany, and it was all those varieties that were quite famous in the 60s and 70s, such as Müller-Thurgau, Ortega, Huxlrebe, Seyval Blanc, Bacchus, and this movement is also responsible for the huge success of Bacchus, because as I said quite a few times, England is trying to build their own reputation on Bacchus as New Zealand did it with their Sauvignon Blanc. So maybe one day we will talk about the classic Bacchus style from England. It's cool climate. They have high acidity levels. They have low pH levels usually in their soils. Some wines, especially the base wines for the sparklings, struggle in going through malolactic fermentation, so the acidity levels are quite high. But I mean, I'm a fan of that. I love that. If you're a big fan of Blanc de Blanc, this is your place to go. But there's also some winemakers that produce the wine style I prefer. I'm a fan of this, I would say, a bit more rounder, creamier, slightly oxidative style. And this is probably why I'm a huge fan of the wines from Langham, from Tommy Grimshaw. There is so much to discover, guys. And I can go on talking hours on England. I don't want to bore you. So let's wrap it up like this. In the next couple of weeks, you can expect interviews with amazing people that give you deep, deep insights in the English wine industry, merchants, winemakers. Just to name a few, Sandwich Barton, Charlie and Duncan have agreed on that. I'm really looking forward to it. Tommy Grimshaw, my mate, is on board. Guillaume Laguerre from the Warrior Experience. I'm really looking forward to this interview as well. He's amazing. He's an amazing guy. He gave me the opportunity to work with him last year in October. It's amazing what he does over there. I'm really looking forward to his Sauvignon Gris, by the way. He's experimenting with PVs over there, so with fungal-resistant varieties. Sarah from Lime Bay agreed on an interview. Thank you so much for that, Sarah. We will have Mary, the head winemaker of Gisborne, on the pod, and this is so exciting to me because Gisborne vintage 2012 was the wine, the Blanc de Blanc, that brought me into English wine and made me discover this amazing region, this amazing wine style. And then we have a lot more to come. Of course, there will be some documentary on the London Wine Fair, insights on the English wine industry, and also if it might be a good idea to go there if you want to export to England. Let's see. The London Wine Fair is basically focused on the domestic market, so this could get also very interesting. And I don't know if you are a loyal listener of this podcast. If you are, you know that there will be the Judgment of London, so a quite different approach to the Judgment of Paris, made by or organized by Stephen Spurrier in 1976 in Paris, of course. They will have a blind tasting with different wines from all over the world competing against each other in a blinder, moderated by Master of Wines, and maybe I can also give you some insights on that one. So you should be as excited as I am right now. And if not, just keep on listening. See you on Saturday with the weekly update. Have a great week. Ciao, ciao.